Give me speaking to myself, but hey, I'm trying to make sure that I fill a gap that would be empty otherwise. You can hear me over there? Okay, so I'll tell you when you're gonna come into play. In the meantime, let me make sure again that I go back here and yes. So stand by, stand by, and I do have a lovely lady I'm and a handsome man. I say that with some hesitance because I'm anyway. Leave it there. Okay, so let's go to them and let me say a pleasant good day to you, Madame and Monsieur.
Morning, Quint. Thank you so much for having us on your show today. I'm Leah Craig Chatterton. I'm the director within the Ministry of Small Business, Entrepreneurship, Cooperatives, and the Creative Economy. And we have some wonderful news to share with you today. I'm here with a colleague from the St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank, and I will let him introduce himself.
Good morning, listeners. Good morning, Quint. Your hesitation, I'm not too sure if it's that you didn't mean what you say or if you're just not uncomfortable, you're uncomfortable with what you said.
Well,
I'm not too sure how to take it.
in the present world that we live in,
Yes.
Yes.
and myself being a straight up,
Yes. The young people would say, why for that? Why for that?
yes, yeah.
Well, I appreciate nevertheless.
Myself being a straight up heterosexual, so let me, so that is why
You put that out there,
I
right?
hesitated. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, my name is Anthony Morton. And thanks for that clarity.
Yes.
I'm the executive manager of business development at National Bank.
Yes.
Okay, so like we said, we have some exciting news to share. We are continuing our radio tour. We were on Island T earlier this week with the lovely Cartencia. Anthony did not have the benefit of engaging with Cartencia, but I brought him along today to see what he can contribute on the bank's behalf.
Yes.
But we have collaborated, we at the ministry, we've collaborated with the National Bank
Yes.
to bring a wonderful partnership for our small business owners and entrepreneurs. So we are launching next week, Thursday, April 24th, we're launching the Building Bankable Businesses Financial Literacy Program. And what's that, you may ask? It is a 6-week intensive training, workshop, whatever learning undertaking that we are rolling out free of cost to help our entrepreneurs and business owners navigate the financial world. Why is that important, you may ask? What is it? What else do they need to know that they don't already know? The fact is, it's not about what you know or don't know. It's about how we bring it forward to you and pull it out of you. What we've recognized from our engagement with the small business owners is that they've been having some difficulty accessing capital, accessing finance to take their business to the next level. In recognition of that, we've delved a little deeper to find out what challenges are prohibiting the bank from extending this line of credit to them or the financial products such as a loan. And what we've found out is there's just a bit of communication error, so to speak. So the businesses, the banks need to know that you have a solid stream of income and that essentially you'll be able to pay back this loan. You'll make your monthly payments. And most businesses, we recognize, would more than likely be in this position. However, because they have not documented the financial strength of their business, it's difficult for the bank to see that on paper and grant them the loan.
Yes.
So we've recognized that, and we've partnered with the bank to bring this program to show our business owners this is exactly what you need to do. These are the best practices to implement in your business so that the bank can see how viable your business is, what you know on the inside. Because if you speak to some business owners, they will tell you, I'm bankable, I make money. What is the issue? That's the issue. So we are going to teach you how to show your best self to the bank so that they can in turn invest in you. So I'll turn over to Anthony now for him to share a bit about why the bank feels that this partnership is important and why they're so committed to helping our small businesses grow.
Thank you, Leah. I'm delighted to be here today to help reinforce the great news about Building Bankable Businesses program, which is a vital collaboration between the Ministry of Small Business and National Bank designed to empower small business owners in St. Kitts and Nevis. We all are aware that small businesses are the backbone of our economy, and we recognize the importance of providing them with the tools and resources they need to thrive. For too long, there has been the notion that there's no one here to assist small businesses. And contrary to beliefs, let me give you some context on National Bank's efforts. Over the past year, we launched two business loans, the Business Startup Loan and the Business Flex Loan. And we've gained valuable insights into the challenges and opportunities that my capable co-partner here have mentioned that are faced by entrepreneurs in the Federation. We discovered firsthand that while there are many hardworking and dedicated Kitchen and New Vision small business owners, a significant number haven't yet adopted the best practices that are necessary to truly operate a successful business. The challenge is that too often times they face difficulties when seeking financing, as was mentioned. They may not meet the lending criteria. For example, providing accurate financial statements, which for the most part for small businesses that's a bit tall to ask them to get the income statement and balance sheets, right? They're working hard, but consistently they are not making timely deposits to their business accounts. And these two things are the crucial ingredients that we need to recognize what a business's revenue and expenses are. And this helps us to determine as a lender and properly assess the financial health and viability of a business when considering a loan application, right? So what does that mean in a nutshell? If you go in for a personal loan, Quint, right, and you say to the bank, I need 50,000. This is for a personal loan. And the lender is going to say, well, what do you need the money for? I want to buy a car. And we say, well, where do you work? And how long have you worked there? And you would typically say, just for example, I work at TDC. I could provide you with a job letter. I could get you a salary deduction. Now, that's the way to show proof from the personal standpoint. But from the business's standpoint, if you want that same loan, you have to be able to show proof. And having those financial statements, which we know in this era and this time, small business owners may not be ready to provide, but at least you should be depositing your sales to your bank account to give the lender enough information so that we could assess your loan application.
I like the things that you're saying, and I am aware of a few words and or phrases associated with what you're implementing. And I think that this is quite timely because over time I've always heard people complain that small businesses can't get to access loan and so forth. So what you're presently doing is enlightening them as to how to go about, because it's not as easy as they think. You know, you don't just get up and go and get a loan. So here I'm going to run some things by you, and you being in the business, you will elaborate on them. Oh, so why is it a good thing for a small business to do market research? I'm asking the question.
Well, it's a good thing for a business to do market research. If they're providing a product or selling a product or providing a service, you need to know, one, if there's a demand for that product or service. Two, you need to do the market research because if it is that you have so many persons offering the same product or service, you will need to know, well, do you have a likelihood to succeed? I'll give you an example. The car rental industry took off several years ago, and there's quite an influx. I think the market is inundated with quite a bit of car rental services. Is that the business you need to get into right now? I'm not sure, because you have so much competition. So
Yes.
Market research is critical for a couple of things. To know that the product or service that you're going to offer will be in demand, there's a demand for it, and two, to understand your competition. How many players are there out there providing the same service or product, and where would you fit in terms of being a viable and successful business?
Okay, good, well said.
That
Is there
allows you to differentiate yourself as well, because there is an opportunity in the market research for you to identify your unique selling point or your unique selling value. How do you set yourself apart from the existing competitors within the market? It also tells you, are the barriers for entry high or low? Is it something that needs a significant amount of capital to start up, or is it something that you can start with $200 in your pocket and a promise of contracts later? So all of these things help you determine the best or the most viable option for you moving forward with your business. And it helps you as well to navigate and change if you have to. So as my colleague indicated, you're thinking about car rental. So you decide, okay, yes, I do the research, you recognize the car rentals. We have 20 car rentals already, and except for high peak timing, probably around music festival or carnival, they generally have a lot of backlog in terms of availability. So then you decide, maybe I should target a specific audience. Maybe all of the car rentals are sedans. Maybe they're at a more medium economic value, but you want to target high end because none of them are. So then no, immediately you stand out because you're targeting high end clientele, which means that your cars that you're renting will be high end as well. So immediately you have set aside for yourself a chunk of the market that will flow to you because their needs are different to other members of the market.
Yeah, I like that. Now tell me, what does the term financial projection mean?
Basically, that's an outlook of how much money you think your business will make based on your anticipated income and your anticipated expenses. So plain and simple, if you make $100 in sales today, that isn't necessarily how much money the business has made. You have to then deduct what your expenses were or your cost of sales. So what did you incur to make that $100? Let's say you had to spend $40, which means in reality the business made $60 that day. So what that tells us is your estimated financial position of the business and whether or not it's viable. Because if you're making $100 a day, but your expenses are $200 a day, we see that there is some discrepancy, and then we have to question, is this business model the best for you? Because we go into business to make money, clearly.
Yeah.
We're not non-profit organizations. That's not who we're talking to here. So the projections help you really bring that sense of reality to your business so you can know, does this make sense? Am I going to make money? Can I pay my staff? Can I pay my bills? As we say here colloquially, can the dance pay for the lights?
Yes. So from what you have explained, both of you have explained so far, it would seem to me, perhaps I'm wrong, but it would seem to me that financial projections and market research can be linked. Is it so?
Well, they are critical to any business that wants to be and want to continue to be a going concern. You need to understand not only what you're doing now, but based on efforts that you're going to put into the business over the next course of the next year, what you anticipate your future sales would be, your future expenses, your future net profits, that kind of stuff. When I say net profits, what you would make after your expenses are taken out. And your projections also could look at what are the opportunities that would go into allowing you to make the sales. If you're into, say, for example, you're a bartender, you own a bar business, right? And music festival is coming up, so you're targeting being a part of that during the whole time that more tourist season, more festive season is here. Then you have on top of that, Australia, the cricket team is going to be here, so there's going to be more visitors here on our shores. So you're going to also look at these events that are coming up in the future and say, I need to purchase more goods to make sure they're available for when these people are hitting our shores, and I could offer a product to increase my sales. So you really have to look at all those things.
So it's kind of planning ahead,
Definitely.
Yes. But I want to bring us back on point.
Yes.
We can be here all day, and I know we don't have an extensive amount of time with you today, Quint. So just to bring us back to our focus why we're here, it's really to promote the launch event, which is next week, Thursday.
Next week, Thursday.
9:30 a.m. It's a media launch, so you can hear us on the radio, you can view us on the cable TV channel 4, Create TV. We'll also be streaming live from our social media pages, the Small Business Development page, as well as National Bank's page. We'll be bringing you more detailed information on the program as it relates to how you can register, what is required for registration, some more information on the criteria for the loan products, and what I'll let Mr. Morton tell you now is he mentioned some traditional lending criteria earlier, but if he can tell you, without giving out too much, what our plan is for persons who graduate the program successfully and then move on to National Bank to see whether or not they can be eligible for a loan.
So one of the things that we have recognized, and I think even in the Revive, which is the initiative put on by the Ministry of Small Business.
Oh, Revive to Thrive.
Revive to Thrive, and I really enjoy that effort. I think the Ministry of Small Business have been doing so many innovative things to assist small businesses over the last year or two. Is one of the participants was mentioning access to financing was a key thing, right? And with the successful candidates who would graduate from these programs, what we are saying here, and I kind of got interrupted in the presentation of why we are here, but the idea was simply that because of the challenges that so many small businesses encounter in terms of accessing fund for expansion purposes, for purchasing new furniture, for the whole 9 yards, right? Bringing in new products. There's a bridge, or there's a gap between where small businesses are and where the banks would like you to be in terms of being able to be approved. And this program, will shore up the knowledge and the business acumen of these small business owners. But more than that, we have also recognized as a bank that we need to bridge that gap. We need to provide the sort of requirements, not going to say less relaxed, but requirements, alternative ways of approving our small business owners for banking facilities. And when I say bank facilities, it could be a loan, an overdraft, it could be a letter of credit. And these alternative loan requirements are a little bit relaxed, right, but still allow more and more of our business owners to succeed in accessing financing would be available to them, right, would be available to them. But we don't want you to go through that program. We want you to build up your business acumen. And I don't want to get into those things. I want persons to tune in to the launch next week to learn about those details, because it's really an awesome initiative. National Bank isn't just a lender. We're a partner for life for every citizen of this great federation. And for, in this case, for every small business owner. So we're not just here putting out the products and say, try to get it. We're saying we understand the challenges that you have faced, and that's why we have partnered with the Ministry of Small Business to come up with this collaborative program to help small businesses to succeed.
So well, I think I have a better understanding as to why you're here now, because I didn't have that prior. But from what you have explained, you are saying in a nutshell that you're going to provide a place where people can go and sharpen their knowledge as to how they can then approach the bank and be more likely to get a loan.
Perfectly said. I think we should hire him for our marketing team. You've stated it so simply. That's essentially it. We are trying, as Anthony said, to bridge that gap. So our small business owners, they're out here, they're committed, they're working in their businesses, but they want to take that next step. The bank, they have some funds, not bottomless, but they have a little pocket change that they can distribute. But where do we meet in the middle? And that's where the ministry comes in, that's where the bank comes in to help you get to that point. And instead of you having to walk that road alone and walk that bridge alone, we've not only built the bridge, but we'll be walking you across the bridge.
Yes.
So you can meet the bank where you need to be.
Yeah, I like that. And I think that there's no one better to be involved in such than the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Small Business and a national bank. I think that you're both in the strategic position to give the kind of information that is relevant.
That's correct, Quint. This is a time to all aspiring and current small business owners who recognize the need that they need some guidance and support. I urge you to tune in next week, Thursday, April 24th, for the media launch of Building Bankable Businesses program. It is an awesome program. It's a free program, but because it's free, it doesn't mean that it's of any low quality. It's of the best quality because the facilitators that are going to help us execute this program are the best of the best in what they do in their respective fields. And it's going to be an awesome experience that allows you to better position your small business for success in the future.
Yeah, and when you say small business, you mean small business across the board.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Yes. So.
Well, an initiative like this doesn't just pop out of thin air. It requires a team of dedicated and committed persons to ensure that it's successful. And we have that team. I'll let Anthony take this opportunity to highlight some key members, not necessarily all, but some key members who are making this initiative possible from the bank's end.
From the bank's end, I remembered, Quint, I was in the supermarket a couple of months ago, and Chairman Carol Body stopped me, and we were there for almost 45 minutes to an hour, just engaged about her commitment to small businesses, her and the desire for us as the leading bank to do better, to support them in what we do. So I would like to thank Chairman Carol Body for her direction, her commitment, her leadership, as well as Managing Director Terrence Crossman. We were in a meeting for, I think it was a marathon meeting.
4.5 hours.
Just yesterday, but that's just one of the many meetings that we have had. CEO Anthony Galloway. We also have our corporate lead in David Lake, who is also a part of the team, and so many others from the National Bank side, who we are steadfast in our commitment to the Federation, but in this particular instance, to our small business owners, to equip them with the support they need, that when they come to the bank, it's almost a yes.
How optimistic are you both, any one of you, on where this will go in the future? How optimistic? What are your ideas of its potential?
We're extremely optimistic, and as Anthony outlined, you can see that it's a top-down approach. It's not just some persons at a mid-management level trying to make this thing happen. We have commitment and support from the very top, the highest level of decision-making, which means that the resources that need to be allocated to ensure the success of this program will be allocated. And the same on the ministry's end and the government. So the Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, has given his utmost support to the program. It's almost like a pet project of his, along with the Honorable Minister for the Ministry, Samuel Duggins, who is dedicated to ensuring that this project not only gets off the ground but continues. It's a program. So while we will be doing the training sessions in cohorts, it's not just a one-off thing. It's something that we plan to execute time and time again, because we recognize the importance and the need for it in the community to help our businesses grow and thrive. And as the program develops, we plan to extend it as well, not just to existing businesses, but to persons who, recognizing the opportunities now that are available to them, they can innovate and create new businesses, and we can also support them in their efforts.
Yeah, and how optimistic are you from the bank's perspective in terms of your clientele being expanded?
Very, very optimistic. Quint, I thought you could hear it in my voice how optimistic I am. But on a serious note, we are so positive, and we feel so enthusiastic about this, that when we launch next week on the 24th of Thursday, we're not stopping there. We're taking the show on the road. I know you know of when bands go on the road, they go on world tours.
Yes.
Well, we are going on an island
A
tour
national tour.
to bring this information, right, to small businesses in every community as we go around the land to share this information. So this isn't a media launch, and it's finished there. We are going to be visiting different communities to be in person, to embrace and to engage small business owners, to answer their questions and to provide the feedback, the way in which they can register to be a part of this program, and to also share the news about the products that we have from a business standpoint, for the bank standpoint, for their businesses, to make their banking and their operation more efficient. So we're extremely enthusiastic about this, and that's why we've put in such a long amount of work, committed to delivering on this program.
I like that in your face kind of approach, where we come out to you and disseminate the information. Now that gives me a sort of my imagination, like, give me an idea of when you're on the road, what will that look like? Like a few caravans, an entourage, a band, a setting with a tent where people. Give me an idea.
I really think we need to hire him for our marketing
Great
team.
question. Great question.
I mean, he's
It's
definitely.
funny you ask.
And your last suggestion is actually how we plan to tackle this. We'll set up shop in a high visibility area where we can reach the largest number of persons. So our first stop is actually in the circus next week, Friday. So we'll be there from 2 p.m. under a branded tent. So look for the green National Bank tent.
Correct.
And we'll be there, officers from the ministry as well as National Bank, to answer all of your questions coming out of the launch when you have all of the additional information. But tune into the launch, April 24th, 9:30 a.m. Get your questions. You can send us questions live on the streams. We'll answer them. But if you don't get that opportunity, come on out at the circus next Friday, 25th of April. We'll be there from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Do not miss us. Do not say, oh no, we'll be there after work. So you come on out, you get this information. This is information that you need. It can transform your business. And that's our business. Transformative change, helping businesses grow, empowering you so that you can live your best.
Yeah, and let me say to the listening audience out there, especially any of you associated with small business, do not miss this opportunity. I've heard many of you gripe and complain over the years, so now that it is at your, it is right there for you to utilize and enhance your knowledge as to how you go about enhancing, developing, and presenting your small business. Do not lose the opportunity to be a part of it.
So just for me in closing, I would like to say that the Building Bankable program, Building Bankable Business program, is your launch pad to success. This is to the small business owners. We believe that your commitment to your renewed commitment to your business, it will transform your lives, your family's lives, and the Federation. So unlock your business potential with the Building Bankable Businesses Advantage, powered by the Ministry of Small Business and National Bank.
Yes.
Your partners in building bridges to financial solutions.
Yes. And Madame, I would like you to close off with a little bit of a synopsis as to why it is important for people to take a part in this venture.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Quinn. Thank you for the opportunity to come on air live to reach your listening audience here at Win FM. We encourage you to tune in next week. Why? Because it's an opportunity for you to take your business to the next step. We know that you have all of these ideas. We know that you've been researching. We know that you want to implement some innovation in your business and really grow and expand. This program is for you to learn the key skills that you need to make yourself bankable. So right there, so you're already bankable, but how do you show the bank that you are ready for them? Because they're ready for you, right, Anthony?
We're here, we're ready.
The bank is ready for you, so all we need to do now is get you ready for the bank, and that's what building bankable businesses is about.
Okay. Thanks to both of you for being here, and wish you all the best in your endeavors in the future.
Thanks so
Thank you,
much,
Quinn.
Quint.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Hey kids, it's chubby time!
I have to go to school and learn and play with my friends too. Every day is fun day, 'cause I love my chubby, chubby. Chubby, 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 chubby. Lots of flavors for me to choose. Every day they keep me cool. It fits my handmade just for me. Everybody loves chubby. Chubby, 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 chubby.
Every day is fun day!
Chubby.
Too often, customers are counted but not valued, like mere numbers, statistics, transactions. But at Flow, we're rewriting the rules and prioritizing you, our valued customers, who have been with us through every milestone, every moment. That's why we're putting our money where your loyalty is. Flow customers claim your $600 gift card when you add internet to your current postpaid plan, because loyalty isn't a one-way street. At Flow, loyalty flows both ways.
More than 42 million cars from 19 different car companies are being recalled for faulty airbag inflators. Repairs are fast, easy, and free. The problem isn't with the airbag, it's with the airbag inflator. Because the inflator can rupture, shooting shrapnel through the airbag, which can cause serious injury or even death. Don't risk it, fix it.
Please contact TDC Automotive Division to find out if your Toyota vehicle is affected by the Takata airbag recall. Visit or call us at 465-2511 in St. Kitts or 469-5430 in Nevis.
And I'm back with you. Let me see if I can go here and get this organized. The time is approximately 10:54, and we just had a very, very enlightening discussion with the Department of Small Business and National Bank as it relates to a venture that will enlighten individuals involved in small business as to how they can go about garnering the financial buttress that they need to make their business successful. Now, prior to that discussion, there was a bit of a heated debate with a caller, and if that caller is still listening, perhaps we can re-engage. But caller, I want you to not be so angry, seem to be angry. We're having a discussion, so don't let it be a back and forth. I want us to be rational in our discussion. I respect you, and I'm sure that you respect me also. So let's be rational. And whereas I hear you, I also wish that you will hear me. I hear you, and I understand to some extent what you're saying, even though I don't agree with every aspect. Because if I read you right, what you're saying is that I, as a person referred to as a black individual, should discard the title or the name black individual and say African individual. I comprehend what you're saying to some extent, but what I am trying to say to you is that I do not have a problem being referred to as a black individual. Ever since I was a child, I looked at my skin and I saw that it wasn't black as black itself, but I realized it was a brown. And I look at some of my colleagues, my friends, and I realize some were darker, real deep brown, and there were others who were even lighter. And I decided to accept myself for who I was and who I am. And that is what I am saying. I am saying, accept yourself for who you are. Whether if you don't, and for me, I cannot fathom why there should be a problem being referred to as a black person. That one kind of caught me off guard, because I have always been proud of being a black person. I'm well aware of being of African descent, and of that too I am also quite proud. Hello, caller.
Quint?
Yes.
Yes, good day again. Greetings in Jesus' name again. Now, concerning what you and the gentleman was speaking of.
Yes.
Okay, no. Before going to that might be a little bit wordy subject. Before going to that, now I'm not a clinician who speak for 9 days and that's it.
Yes.
You know, as a matter of fact, I even still continue when I get a chance and opportunity. Even still speak about we need to know what happened to the courthouse that burned down in the 80s.
Yes.
And I'm not pleased that we are still ignorant on that issue and other subsequent issues that the government or us information and have not given us to this day.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not a clinician who just talk for 9 days and that's it. A lady asked a question, and I think it's very interesting. Well, before the plastic bag ban, there were people who hoarded up on plastics.
Yes.
To prepare themselves. Well, when those plastics start to run out, it's going to be another thing. But a lady asked a question. How are people, when you need these plastics when they run out and that sort of stuff, how are people, well, especially women, females, how are they going to dispose of soiled diapers and sanitary napkins, those sort of stuff?
Yes.
Yeah. How are they going to be disposed of? And I think that's a very interesting question. Now, because that's an issue I have not heard addressed with this plastic bag ban thing. Now, another issue, and it concerns something that came up with you and the gentleman, but I've wondered, we in St. Kitts Nevis, we just say nigger, like nigger business, that sort of stuff.
Yes.
I'm wondering if the word nigger is a form of nigger or neighbor. You know, I've asked that question. And another one, where the gentleman is concerned, again, I mostly disagree with him, and I mostly agree with you.
Yes.
But not totally.
Yes.
Because while I have no problem with the words black and Negro, it depends on the context. Maybe even nigger depends on the context. If a black person will be referring to me as such.
Yes.
Depends on the context. I would have no problem. Depends on the context. I would have a big problem with it. It all depends on the context.
Yes.
But what I really do have a problem with is African American, African Caribbean, African Brazilian, because I think that brings unnecessary division.
Yes,
among black people.
I agree. I agree to some extent. Yes, I never really thought of it in that vein. But now that you've posed it, I hear you and I understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Okay. On a different issue, concerning the program that you just had on. You see, loans. I ain't have no problem with loans, okay? I have had loans. Thank God, by the grace of Jesus Christ, He have had me to pay off all of my loans. I will not borrow again. I'm sure I just may borrow again. So I have no problem with loans. The Bible says it is the evil who borrow and don't pay back.
Yes.
Right? But when it comes to business, it's more that loans are good. Loans are good. I'm not knocking loans. I'm not knocking them. But other things need to be in place of loans. Because a business, we need to have a business atmosphere to make businesses successful, and we do not have that. For example, and I'm going to repeat it again, it is a very awful thing for us to be rated 130-something out of 190 countries when it comes to the ease of doing business. Okay?
Yes.
It's an awful bad state that we're in with that kind of rating.
But Greg, let me interject here, because the caller before the small business debate spoke to neocolonialism, and I agree with him there. And so the question is are we ranked that way because we do not, how we do business here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis isn't open to external individuals just coming in and doing the very same thing they can do in some of those places where it is free for them to do it, and therefore it curtails the exploitation of us as a Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis? Or is it that we have that ranking because in truth and in fact there are certain things that we really need to do to make business better? It's a two-pronged question.
The biggest factor to me is the red tape and so on that we have as barriers and hindrances to open and operate and maintain business easily.
Yes.
I hear people complaining, and I've heard it on Win FM, that you have to go through too much things to open a business.
Yes.
And not only that, even I remember one time Jamster said, and it's a good point. If you want to get a passport, you got to go here to buy stamps, then you got to go somewhere to do something, and you got to go somewhere to do something instead of everything in just in one place.
Yes.
But not only that, I do not know how it is at custom, but I know once ago, but I don't know if it is still so at custom because years I haven't gone to clear anything. But I know, for example, you used to for you to clear something, you had to go here to an agent. Then you had to go somewhere else, and instead everything was in one place, and to make it easy and people, including businesses, to clear the stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know how it is today. I don't know if everything is in one place today, but if they're not, it's a shame. But we are ranked that low because mostly of our own doing.
Yeah,
Elaborate.
Elaborate. Explain.
Yeah, because it seems to me the politicians they really don't care, because if they want something clear, that sort of stuff, they have the means to make it easy on them and to hell with me and you. So it's similar though they don't streamline things, they don't make things convenient, that sort of stuff. And because of all of that, we are ranked so low in the ease of doing business index.
But Greg, it seems to me that these things that are lacking, it seems to me, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems to me that they more easily affect the indigenous people than the people who come from abroad. Because, for instance, that example you were using in terms of clearing something from customs, it would seem to me that if a local individual wants to clear something, there's this all over and over complained about tax upon tax. But it would seem to me, and then someone would have to clarify because I'm not 100% sure, but it would seem to me as if though a foreigner, someone who comes in here, they can get access to the very same things that they bring into the country without this tax upon tax. It would seem to me that way, because I remember hearing someone say that they were complaining to their boss, who is someone who came into the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis and set up residence, and complaining to the boss about something that they got and the exorbitant, fee that was expected of them, and their boss said, okay, I'm going to see what I can do. And the boss went and got that stuff at a way reduced price for the individuals. So it seemed to me, and that is why I agreed with the prior individual who was trying to put emphasis on neocolonialism, where these things are used, and our governments, our own indigenous leaders, seem to perpetuate this thing of imposing pressures, unnecessary pressures on their own people as opposed to foreigners.
Well, you see, okay, earlier, you and Kolonji was speaking, okay?
Yes.
Now, the conversation that you and Kolonji had, I agree with most of the stuff that was said between you and Kolonji. I agree with most of the stuff. The problem with Kolonji is that we differ on solutions. I believe the Bible is the only solution and answer to everything in life. Kolonji got the socialist communist way, which I strongly oppose. But
yes,
other than that, what you all spoke about, number of things you all spoke about, I agree very much on them. Okay.
Yes.
Now, I said that to say, one of the things that I agree with that Kolonji said was that our leaders most seem to be in the money-making thing.
Yes.
Okay? Now, let me say this. I remember a number of years back, I was speaking to a white man, and he had come in here to do business. He had come in. This was a good while back. Actually, it was in the early 90s, really.
Yes.
And he came in here, and he came in here to do business. He wanted to do business. And me and he had a talk. And actually, in the Federation, I won't say which island, whether St. Kitts or Nevis. Well, actually, it was Nevis. It was really Nevis. And during our talk, he said to me, he said to me he's getting a lot of problem to start up his business. And he said it seems to him that they are expecting something under the table.
Okay.
And he said, and because he was a religious person, he said he ain't gonna do that. Otherwise, because But if you do it, apparently it appeared to him that he will get you easy if you just get a little something under the table.
Yeah.
Okay? No. I've heard such accusations otherwise. So I'm wondering, like as Kulunji said, if our leaders are just in it for the money, and then where people can extrapolate from that what what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Yes.
Don't want to put Win FM in any problem.
Yes.
So
And thank you for that.
yes. So that's another angle to consider. Where Kulunji said our politicians seem to be just making money and not so much for the people. But so yeah, I agree with Kulunji with that. And so maybe because of X, Y, and Z, why foreigners seem to have it easier than our locals. And honestly speaking, I have been of the same opinion too.
Yes.
It seemed to me as well that foreigners have it easier to get tax holidays than local small businesses.
Yes.
So all of that play into when I come back to say this thing, while loans are good, you need other things in place. And we ranking so low on the ease of doing business index is a very bad thing, because with all due respect, when you don't go and you get your big loan to do your small business, if you ain't getting the turnover you need because we don't have so much of a friendly business atmosphere, like I said, we are ranked very low with that. Sooner or later, your business is going to close.
Yes.
Which have happened to a lot of Kitishan. Right now, a lot of Kitishan is in debt.
In other words, I'm looking at a scenario where you get a loan and you get some stuff, you order some stuff from overseas, and then when it comes in relation to the loan that you got, and the capital it took you to set up your business and otherwise, now you have this exorbitant tax upon tax, and that could be an unnecessary strain on your business, and especially over time. So I hear what you're saying.
And many businesses have closed. Now, one of the things that I have argued, because Inland Revenue have the info, politicians love to come and say how much jobs they create, how much businesses came on the scene.
Yes.
You never, ever hear them say, during that time, how much jobs were lost and how much businesses went in closure.
Yes.
I tell you that the information is there because Inland Revenue have the information.
Yes.
And I've always said, those information should also be made public.
And I agree, yeah. Because that is the only way you get a true picture of where you stand. Yes.
Amen. That is true. So right now, it's a lot of people who have gotten loans and that sort of stuff and have closed because they wasn't getting the profit that they wanted. And they're in loans. They're in debt.
Yes.
They have debts to pay off. So, yes, so while loans are needed, yes, you need more than loans, because if you ain't got the other things in place, like many people, you're going to end up in debt too.
I think though, Greg, to speak a little bit on their behalf, I think that what they're trying to do is to enlighten the small businesses that, to what you're saying, that it's not just about getting the loan, it's about how you look at the business you're going to get into, whether it is feasible to get into that kind of business when you look at the broader picture and you see how many others of that kind of business is in the country, as to how you're going to manage your finances, whereas when you make some money, you don't look at it as just profit and start spending. I think that what they're trying to do is give small businesses a big picture of the different aspects that it takes for you to survive in a business. So I think that's what they're trying to do.
Yes, I understand that. I understand that. And in the end, at the end of it all, the underlying issue is your profit. Are you making a profit?
Yes.
That's the under. For example, again, not only that. For example, again, we argue that we need to connect with Africa.
Yes.
Well, let me say this: African businessmen ain't no different to businessmen anywhere else in the world. The underlying issue is profit too.
I agree. Yeah, 100%.
And if you do not have a business-friendly environment, which we do not have, you are more a discouragement than an encouragement to them.
Yes.
Because Africans have gone to other countries. Just the other day, we're looking at a big nice eatery African thing in England.
Yes.
Africans have gone to other places to do it. Dubai, you name it. Europe, you name them.
Yes.
And the end went to Africa to make connections. The African men's businessmen are like any other business. If they see your place is profitable, they're gonna come.
Yes.
And if it ain't profitable, you're gonna be discouraging them, and that is why we need, and that is why our rating is not, with our due respect, is not encouraging for business people to be coming here. Yes, we have business people coming here, but I think a lot more, far more, including from Africa, would come here if we were much more business friendly, if the ease of doing business was a whole lot easier, if our ranking was a whole lot better.
Yeah, I hear you.
That's how I see it.
I hear you. And I agree with you too, also, yeah.
Yeah, so one of the things is that people like the team who were the two persons who were here and that sort of stuff. They should, when they get chance as well, speak to government and let government know, hey, government policies can work for us, or it can work against us.
Well, they are to some extent linked with the government, because one is a government department that is the Department of Small Business, and the other is the St. Kitts Nevis National Bank, which is the biggest shareholder of that bank, as far as I understand, is the government. So they're both.
Yeah, but apparently the government, if they do speak to God, apparently the government ain't listening to them, because what on earth we have in a 130-something ranking out of 190 countries?
Well,
what car we got so low down?
Well, perhaps, as you suggested, and is often the case, the government is not listening to the advice, perhaps sound advice, coming from the various faction. Sometimes the cabinet has a tendency to do its own thing to the detriment of its citizenry. So.
and it come back to what Colonji said earlier. Them more just interested in making money than for the upliftment of the country. Now, like I said, me and Colonji would come to different conclusion on what we should take, because I believe unity. We should unite around the Bible, because
Yes.
the Bible is the only solution and answer to all of our issues and problems in life.
Yes.
That way, me and Colonji part with each other. But
well, I kind of also part with you along that vein too.
I know. Yes, I understand. But other than that, on many things he said, I do agree with him, man.
Yes. Well, you see,
And you too.
that's the thing about maturity, Greg, where we can come together, have a discussion, kind of disagree on certain things, but still get along as individuals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but to end off what I want to say, I'm going to end off what I want to say. This is the Easter season, the Crucifixion Friday, Resurrection Sunday season. I would just like to tell people that, Easter is the result of Christmas, and the message of Easter ties in with the Christmas that Jesus Christ came to seek and to save that which was lost. And if we outside of Jesus Christ and we die in our sins, we're going to end up in hell, and only the blood of Christ, through faith alone and through faith only, can save us from our sin. and from hell. So choose life, choose heaven, and reject hell. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, yeah. You take care and continue to have a great day. I'm going to take a bit of a commercial break and I'll be back. And like I said to the caller with whom I was having that heated debate before the banking and small business institutions came in to have their bit of a rapport with the audience. If he's listening, perhaps he can call and we re-engage. But I would hope that he takes time to listen to me as I try to listen to him and not be so adamant in just forcing and forging ahead, because perhaps we can come to an agreement along a line. One of the things I don't like about us as human beings is that sometimes we take too firm a stance on something and we don't leave any leeway for taking other options. Me, I may come forward with something. I would like to think that if I bring something to the fore, I try to be as versed about it as I can, but I do not hold a monopoly on knowledge and understanding. So I'm open to your perspective, and if your perspective to me has merit, I don't have a problem with sort of conforming a bit to your perspective if it is more positive or along the line of coming to a good end. I don't have a problem with conforming with it. Where I would have a problem is if I'm firm in my argument and your argument is off, you don't have the facts, or you're so heated in your argument that you don't listen to rationale, then I am inclined not to follow you along that part. Hello, good day.
Quint, I forgot to tell you, your YouTube volume is very low compared to others, including local YouTube channels.
Yeah, well,
so something needs to be done to your YouTube volume.
Well, from my end, and I, as you know, I'm technically inclined. We've got things up, we've got things boosted, so I don't know what else we can do from that aspect, because it is something that you have complained about over time, so I don't know.
Yeah, but I have read on your Facebook, even the lady Cleo Rogers have even asked about volume, and another time I read saying somebody was commenting that your volume has stopped.
Well, like I said,
compared to other YouTube channels, and you will see the volume is comparatively low.
You have one of I'm not disputing what you say. What I'm saying is that from my vantage point, we have done what needed to be done. So I don't know what else to do. Yes.
Okay, no problem. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to say that.
Okay. Yes.
No problem.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Ready to save while you build? Now you can at Builders Paradise. Yes, shoppers, build up your Value Club points at Builders Paradise. That's right, Value Club members and shoppers, your favorite frequent buyer club is now available at the home of hardware and more. Whether you're laying tiles, painting walls, replacing doors, upgrading windows, or fixing up your home, every purchase at Builders Paradise now earns you Value Club points. Enjoy exclusive benefits like discounts on thousands of items, special savings for seniors, instant deals, quarterly rebates, plus an extra up to 2% off every quarter. Shop more, save more, and more only at Builders Paradise. Don't miss out. Start building your rewards today with Value Club at Builders Paradise, because every bolt, board, and brush brings you closer to bigger, better savings. Terms and conditions apply.
And I'm back with you. The time is 11:24, and I'm gonna see if I can play those clips I promised you earlier. One, they're both coming from a historical perspective. One, a historical perspective in relation to Haiti, and another, a historical perspective in relation to the Bible and how the Bible was put together. Okay? But again, before I do that, let me say, in terms of the conversation that I had before, that was a bit heated, where the individual was speaking to things like the term black, and he had a problem with us referring to ourselves as black. I do not have a problem with us referring to ourselves as African people of African descent. I do not have a problem, as Greg stated, there is a bit of a negative in terms of Afro-American, Afro-Argentinian, Afro-Caribbean, and so forth. That was done by the colonialists and is further perpetuated by the neocolonialists, as Greg stipulated, to create a form of segregation. But what I say is that even the things that have been done to us as a people in a negative vein, for us to survive and thrive, we cannot sit down and forever argue about labels and labeling. It's either we accept them and move along, or we discard them and move along, okay? And things like black, we refer to the Caucasian as a white individual, and we know that they are not literally white, even though they can get very, very pale. And we refer to the Chinese as what do we refer to the Chinese as a yellow people, and we know they're not exactly yellow. And we refer to the Native American as a red man, and we know they are not exactly red. So I am saying that if we have been referred to as a black people, and we know we're not exactly black, but I don't see a problem in accepting it. So we're just going to continue this perpetual argument that, have a problem with black and have a problem with, if you don't want to call your child a kid, then call it a child and move on. Don't waste time arguing with those who refer to their children or their child as a kid, because to me it is just semantics. And we as a people keep finding ways to come up with arguments that are of no relevance to our advancement. So rather than getting involved in conversations that keep us arguing perpetually, then stop the arguments and either accept it or discard it. So if you don't like to call your child a kid, then don't do it. But because I have had a habit of it, sometimes I say my children, sometimes I say my kids, because I don't see a problem with it. When I refer to my children as my kids, I don't refer to them as my goats. I refer to them as my children. It is just another semantic expression that is of really no consequence, that it should bog us down as a people. And these are the things that keep us from progressing, because we find all kind of trivial things to argue about, and the salient important things that really affect our lives, like religion and politics and culture and agriculture and science and so many other things that could advance and enhance us as a people, we leave them aside and get caught up in all kind of foolish argument. Like, I think with all due respect that for a black individual to say that they have a problem with referring to themselves as black, and their argument is that black is the color of a car, I don't see why you should make a big thing out of it. If you don't want to call yourself a black person and you prefer to refer yourself as an African person, then do so. But don't argue with me because I refer to myself, or don't feel that because I accept myself as a black individual that it should be a cause for us to always argue about. No, it doesn't make any sense. Okay? So I'm going to play for you the first clip as it relates to, I think it is Haiti. Okay? So give it a listen. Okay, that is not the Haiti one, so let me see if I can find the Haiti one. Let me see. Okay. Yes, think I have it. Yes, so I'm going to play the Haiti one first and give it a listen.
They did not just sit down and let themselves be taken away. They fought. They fought all the way to the boat. They fought on the boat. They killed themselves throughout the trip. They killed themselves as they get off the boat, or killed whoever was tying them up. So the fight began the day the aggression, the kidnapping, the slave mentality began to capture people.
After Haiti won its own independence, the first thing it did that not enough people know about was to support Simon Bolivar and the independence movements all over Latin America, and those probably would not have succeeded without Haitian support. So Haiti didn't just set an example in terms of liberating its people from slavery and setting that example in the world that slaves could rebel against their masters. Haiti set an example for all folks who were oppressed, who faced colonialism. And for that reason, the powers that be in the world made Haiti pay, and they made Haiti pay dearly.
Haiti became the place to be defeated. Haiti committed the greatest sin at that time. It called on enslaved people from wherever in the world they were to come to Haiti, and Haiti, they would receive political asylum, and they would receive Haitian citizenship, and Haiti would go to war to defend their freedom. That was a big blow to the world economic system that existed at the time, not only in the Caribbean, but all over the Americas. It was slavery. And so for a nation of enslaved people to rise up like that, man, that's a powerful example. Just think of it.
The way that the world responded was to isolate Haiti and to bully Haiti and to try to make Haiti pay for its crime of rising up against slavery and white supremacy.
The U.S. and France were not the only countries. Spain threatened to invade Haiti, Germany, Holland.
The U.S. and Great Britain, another of the Western industrial, significant powers, all pretty much ganged up on Haiti.
Haiti was by itself, completely isolated, completely.
It's nice to think romantically that, we probably would support the Haitian independence struggle because in many ways it was modeled after our own. But that's the opposite, because what people tend to forget is that during that period that the United States was run by mostly slave owners. People like Thomas Jefferson, George Washington. For all their courage, all their brilliance, they were also slave owners, and they were committed to the doctrine of white supremacy and committed to slavery. And Haiti's revolution threatened all that. So the U.S. was very hostile to Haiti, and in fact, the United States didn't even recognize Haiti as an independent country until Abraham Lincoln did it, more than a half century later, after the Civil War, during the Civil War.
With these countries threatening constant invasion, Haiti didn't really have an opportunity to recoup, especially from the losses it was forced to pay.
Probably the most important event happened in 1825 when France came back, kind of regrouped. Right, this is 20 years later. Haiti's been a free nation state. But France came back and threatened to reinvade Haiti, to reoccupy it, and to re-enslave the people. And they said, basically, either you pay us an extortion fee of what is now about $22 billion in today's money, or we're going to take you back.
There were warships circling Haiti a year after year following the revolution.
Haiti was weak enough that it really didn't want to go through another war. It had been a 13-year war. They'd lost, a large percentage of their population was killed during the war. So they decided to pay the fee.
Haiti was forced to pay to France the equivalent of $21.7 billion in today's money. Forced to pay that money to France in reparations because the former slave owners had lost their property. What was their property? Our foremothers and fathers.
They wanted all the profit from the slaves that they weren't able to sell. The slaves that had found their own freedom. A freedom that wasn't reality for American slaves, not for many years to come.
People will tell you many things through their books on tops of books. You will read as to why the economic reasons why they had to occupy Haiti. Oh, no. The trouble, so much coup d'etats and too many killings of officials and too much trouble in the country. That's why the U.S. had to occupy Haiti. But here's what the U.S. did. When they came in the first time, they occupied Haiti. First, they changed all the worthwhile laws from the books. I'm sorry, that wasn't first. The very first thing was, Haiti was the only country at that time who did not have their money backed in the Americas, backed by the dollar. Our money was backed by gold. Our entire reserve, gold reserve, was taken away for safekeeping, we were told, and brought to Fort Knox. It has yet to return home. This was 1915. When somebody asks you why is there so much poverty, when some white person says, oh, I want to go help the poor people in Haiti, so I'm going to bring a little bread and a little water for them. Ask them, why don't you just ask your government to give them back their gold? Yes. So, we're looking at a country that has set a model for black countries. The only country who had a constitution which was in accord with what the purpose of the people. We cannot have black people enslaved or colonized, and then when we're free we say, oh, our colonizers are our best friends. They teach us the laws we should have in the books. We're going to take their books to have the schools. We're going to take their doctors to come and build our hospitals. Why the hell then why don't you just stay in slavery or stay in colonization? We have an example, Nigeria. Very important country. 110 million people strong. Powerful land, variety in climate. Nigeria has everything to win as a black country. When Nigeria was becoming, and they did not give Nigeria up. Because Nigeria was too much wealth, too much of everything. And it had a very dynamic personality, the people of Nigeria. When you read the Constitution of Nigeria, you can hardly tell this is a black nation. But furthermore, the accompanying agreements, Nigerians agreed to live in the hands of England. The educational system, the justice system, the finance system, and the resources. So here we are independent. Here's how it went in Nigeria. We're independent. Hooray! Independence! Wonderful. But England will determine what you do as far as education is concerned, will determine how money is spent and for what, will determine how resources are used, and will determine justice for the next 15 to 20 years. Is that independence? The fight went throughout, everywhere. It's not just Haiti. That's another false idea that Haiti did a revolution. But Jamaica fought a lot more than we did. Cuba has much more revolt than we did. But Haiti, the difference, Haiti succeeded. And that is what makes the difference. But all the islands in St. Thomas, 3 women freed St. Thomas in 1773, took it away from the Dutch before they were recaptured with the help of France and British Army. The Dutch put the island back into slavery and arrested the 3 women. But people don't know about that. So the revolution is all over. It's not the Haitian Revolution. The Haitian Revolution is just one tip of the revolution against slavery that went throughout the world and received its first major success in Haiti. I would have to say, in the last period, the last string of battles that began in 1492, we have to take 3 characters, 3 major people, and their surrounding. We have to take, if we take the man, we'll have to take Bookman Duty, who's from Jamaica, whose mother was a great revolutionary woman, was a Muslim woman. And the reason he's called Bookman, the man of the book, is because his Holy Quran that he refused to give up when they sold him out here. So the slave maker burnt the book on his skin. So he was all burnt up all in here, but the mark of the book stayed here. Why? Bookman. And since he was purchased by Mr. Duty, then his name became Bookman Duty, the man of the book of the duty. Now for us, there is no such thing as chance and hazard. So there is a reason why this man, who's going to come from Jamaica, grow up here, become from a Muslim to a Unga, participate actively in giving, being the what do you call, a tremplin, being what you jump over to push the last battle, if you want, to spring to propulse, okay, the last battle. So this Bookman Beauty, what is he going to say to us? He's going to say to the Haitian people, God, who has created the sun, who governs the wind, the clouds, he is your father. And he demands that you put an end to this thing here. You must avenge the wrong that has been done to you. Now, we have no other word from Bookman but that one speech that he did on August 14, 1791. So this is the man who brought the word, the clarified word that must be materialized. Fine. And of course, with this, a whole string of fighting and activities begun towards the final march for freedom.
Yeah, the time 11:43, and their slight synopsis, history of Haiti. And I like the part where the professor spoke to the fact that you're given independence, but yet still you hold on to your former slave masters controlling education, controlling your finances, controlling your legal system and your agricultural system. Then the question is, how independent are you really? Yeah. Words to ponder. So now I'm going to play the second clip, or let me take a bit of a commercial break first. And when I come back, I'm going to play the second clip, and that will be sort of a synopsis history of the Bible and how it was put together. Now, there are certain issues that people seem to be afraid of touching, and we ourselves as a black people, I often find that we are the ones who are afraid to touch certain issues relevant to our existence, certain issues that might well be the cause of the predicaments we find ourselves in today, but yet still we're afraid to broach those issues. My premise is that as long as we are afraid to broach those issues, then we will never solve those issues. We must look them face to face, look them in the eye, and decide whether they are good for our advancement or whether they curtail our positive movement into a bright future.
Found the sound. 98.9.
Supermarket shoppers understand that convenience matters. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Ample parking and the widest variety matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Clean, spacious aisles and the highest level of customer service all matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, price matters most. We've renewed our commitment to guarantee the lowest prices in the Federation. Why? Because we understand that in this tough economic environment, price matters most. Shop smart. Shop Value Mart, where price matters most. Farms Estate Nevis and Wellington Road, St. Kitts.
Price matters most.
And I'm back with you. The time is 11:46, and we are fast approaching the end of another presentation of Voices for Today. Now, let me make this statement. Whenever I indulge in a conversation, or I play a clip, or I bring something to the attention of those in the listening audience, or someone brings a perspective to me, I like to indulge, not for the sake of winning an argument. I indulge for the sake of disseminating pertinent, relevant information that will enhance our development as a people, or to come to a better understanding of something within which I am not too versed. I might bring a topic to the fore, but it is not something I am completely versed in, and I would like to be enlightened, and so therefore I put it forward, I put it on the table, we can have a discussion, and you who are better informed, better enlightened than I am, can enlighten me so that I can move forward a bit wiser. If it is that I have some information that I have scrutinized and analyzed and researched, and I think it is good to put it out there for your enhancement and our enlightenment, then I do so. But I do not intend to or wish to get bogged down in arguments just for the sake of arguments. It is not my intent, has never been and will never be my intent, to win an argument just for the sake of winning an argument, or for the sake of saying, well, I know more than you. Because I may know more than you in something, but I can be sure that you know more than me, than myself in another thing. So we can give information so that we can all move together better informed, okay? So don't think that I'm here to one up on anyone or to win debates. If you come with something, as you would have realized, as I have my daily discussions, whenever you come with something and I put forward something and you come with something and you're adamant, and I listen and I tell myself, okay, I hear that, and I think I can concur with that, I think I can agree with that, then I can reshuffle what I thought I knew prior. Okay, so let us all endeavor to learn as opposed to just argue, okay? I'm not going to get into things for the sake of arguing and continuing over and over to argue. No, I want us to come to conclusions. I want us to come to consensus. I want us to solve problems and move forward. Okay? I don't have time to waste on continuing the same thing over and over, day after day, and not getting anywhere. If I find a conversation comes up and there's no resolve to it, I'm not going to continue to push it and push it and push it. I would end it and move on. Okay? So bear that in mind. And now I'm going to play for you the second clip as I promised, and this one is in relation to the Bible and how the books of the Bible were put together, and some in the putting together of the Bible were left out. And the salient question then becomes, why were certain books put to make up the Bible and others were not utilized or were discarded in regards to making the Bible?
1,000 years before and after Jesus, a small collection of writings found their way into the sacred scriptures of Jews and Christians. To this day, this small library of ancient writings is accepted by many as the Word of God. But there were hundreds of religious writings considered important at the time that were left out of the Holy Bible. What is contained in these rejected books, and why were they left out? Were some writings thought too fanciful? Perhaps these excluded or banned books were simply deemed unworthy for inclusion in sacred scripture.
There is a collection of books that we would say are literally forbidden.
We have two 4th century codices, books of the Bible, the entire Bible. One is called the Codex Vaticanus because it's in the Vatican. The other is the Codex Sinaiticus, which is in the British Library. It was found at Mount Sinai, St. Catherine's Monastery. And we can't be sure of the contents because there's missing pages.
If either of these ancient fragmentary documents are indeed copies of Constantine's Bible, it appears their contents differ from Eusebius's list. There are at least 2 disputed books included in Codex Sinaiticus: The Shepherd of Hermas, a popular book among early Christians, and the Epistle of Barnabas.
What we have to understand is that nobody wrote the New Testament. The New Testament is an assembled library, small library of documents. They had to make a major discussion of, are we going to have the Hebrew scriptures in their Greek rendition in our Bible? Will the Bible start with Matthew? Will the Bible start with Matthew? Or will the Bible start with Genesis?
Many highly popular writings were excluded, some of which were even more popular than the books that were accepted.
What is straight thinking and proper thinking? And that discussion is not just theological, it's social, it's political, and the answer to those questions is determined by a vote. What are the right books to read, and what books should not pass before the eyes of the faithful? What books should be forbidden for their reading?
In biblical times, hundreds of scrolls and manuscripts circulated throughout the Holy Land, tales that appeared to shed more light on many well-known biblical figures. Most were not included in the Hebrew or Christian Bibles. A little-known ancient text called The Life of Adam and Eve is one such writing, a forbidden book that tells a more detailed story of creation than the familiar tale found in the Old Testament. There are jealous angels and a far more devious and persistent serpent.
The life of Adam and Eve begins with sort of the backstory of what you get in the Genesis 3 account. In the Genesis 3 account, you have the snake, the wisest of all creatures, who tempts the woman with a couple of sort of truths into taking a bite of the fruit. She also gives the fruit to her husband, and as soon as they consume the fruit, they recognize that they are naked. And they're ashamed, they avoid God.
One important motivation was to fill in the gaps, to provide a larger context to explain why it was that something so odd as a serpent would be tempting a woman to eat forbidden fruit.
But if the life of Adam and Eve gave an ancient audience more information about Eve's temptation and fall from grace, why was it left out of the Bible?
It would have had to have come in the first part of the Bible. The Christian Bible tells a story. Not only the texts that are chosen to go in it, but the order of the text. It begins with Genesis, or the beginning, and it ends with Revelation, a tale of the end. Therefore, if you were going to include something like the life of Adam and Eve in the Christian Bible, you would need to include it in the beginning of the text, near Genesis. Since it's clearly a retelling of Genesis, there was no place for it in that canon.
But not an exact retelling. Some scholars believe the life of Adam and Eve was written in the 1st century, as much as 1,000 years after the first known written manuscript of Genesis. There is another theory that it was written at a later time, in the 3rd or 4th century, at the time the Christian Bible was taking form.
What the reasons for its not attaining that status might be, we don't know. It could be, this is just guessing, that people knew it was written at a later time. The teachings of the book, you would think, would be compatible with Jewish and Christian teachings, but we don't have any ancient discussion about why it may have been thought not on the same level with, say, Genesis.
While its exclusion may be a mystery, we do know the book was popular in its day. The anonymous writer gave his ancient audience a chance to see these temptations from Eve's point of view. It is a surprising tale of deceit and betrayal, far different from the version found in Genesis.
Eve said to Adam, "My Lord, would that I might die. Perhaps then the Lord God would bring you back into paradise. For it was because of me that the Lord God grew angry with you."
In the life of Adam and Eve, Eve seems to be an innocent victim.
We find out that Eve was alone. Adam was nowhere near her. They both had separate halves of the garden. We also find out that the guardian angels who are supposed to protect Adam and Eve are gone. So Eve is sitting there alone when all of a sudden she sees not only the serpent, but the devil disguised as an angel. And this devil as an angel convinces her to take from the tree that she is not supposed to eat from. And at first she says, no, I really shouldn't do that. It'll make God angry. And he says, after you're done, you won't need to worry about God, in effect.
When Satan's ruse is revealed, Eve's innocent trust turns to terror. She realizes that Adam will share her hellish punishment, expulsion from paradise, and a life of wandering in an unforgiving wasteland.
"Do you wish to kill me that I might die?"
Adam responded, "Don't say such things, Eve, lest the Lord God bring upon us some other curse. How could it be that I should raise my hand against my own flesh?"
Adam and Eve, of course, want to get back into the garden. And so Adam devises a means by which they are tested, and they stand in separate rivers. Adam decides to stand in the River Jordan for 40 days and suggests to Eve that since she's weaker, she should only stand in the Tigris for 34 days. However, while she's in the Tigris, the devil comes disguised as an angel after 18 days and convinces her to leave the river.
"The Lord God has heard your lamenting and accepted your penitence. Now therefore, come out of the water, and I will lead you to the place where your food is prepared."
She walks over to Adam with this wonderful news: we've been rescued from the rivers, and Adam looks at her and sees a serpent. Not an angel standing beside her, but the devil. And he says, "Eve, how could you have done this again?"
When Adam was created in God's image, the angels were ordered to bow to Adam or worship Adam. And Satan refused to do this. He said he should not bow to someone who was created after he was and who was inferior to him.
In defiance, Satan and his gang of rebel angels build a rival throne that literally places them above God. Outraged, God expels them from heaven and banishes them into the depths of the earth. This tale of Satan's jealousy and revenge is not found in the Holy Bible, yet it is among the stories told in the Quran, sacred scripture for Muslims, written 800 years later.
God calls Adam the greatest of God's creations and tells the angels to bow down before this creation. And one of them refuses. In the text of the Quran, Satan, Iblis, refuses to bow down. We're not sure what manner of being Satan is. So there's contention there among Muslims. You know, is this an angel that disobeys? Because how can the angels disobey God?
For Christians and Jews, the creation story in Genesis leaves a lingering question. If Adam and Eve had 2 sons and no daughters, if no other humans existed, who gave birth to humanity? One of the Holy Bible's more puzzling omissions is found in the book of Genesis, in the story of Adam and Eve's son, Cain. He murders his brother Abel, is cursed by God, and becomes a fugitive. Then, suddenly, we learn that Cain has a wife who is pregnant.
And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Enoch.
Anyone who's ever taught Sunday school is familiar with the problem that you talk about Cain getting married, and suddenly a million hands go up. Wait a minute, where did the wife come from? There is a collection of books that we would say are literally forbidden.
And that's the second clip as regards to the Bible and how it was put together. Some books were accepted, some books were rejected. The question is, why? So we have the Bible as it is today. If certain other books were incorporated and some that we have today were rejected, would we see things in a different light? Or, some argue, if all were incorporated, how would we perceive things? The time is approximately 2 minutes after 12. It is time for the Win FM Midday News.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the Win FM News. The Win FM News is brought to you by Carrie Brewery, SL Hoxfords and Company Limited, Rams Trading, The Cable, and TDC.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose